Welcome, welcome. Today we're going to be going over basic rigid motions. You might know them as transformations. We're going to look at very specific transformations. Up until this point, we've learned about rotations, reflections, and translations. Now we're going to learn about how to do each of those with very specific instructions so that we were to tell a friend exactly how we moved something from one point to another. We could do that with a lot of detail, and we could get the exact pinpoint of where we want it. You ever had a friend that didn't know where something went or didn't know where something was? Now you can direct them using basic rigid motions and let them know exactly where you want them to be to find the object that you want them to find. So, let's check out some of these basic rigid motions together. Okay, we have our triangle ABC. This is on page 105. Go ahead and turn there now if you haven't already. I'll give you a second. Go ahead and pause. Okay. So you have this triangle ABC. This is example 1. And it asks you, how do we get from triangle ABC to triangle ABC prime? So let me go ahead and draw an ABC prime for you. So we have here triangle ABC prime. You can see that it's a perfect reflection of triangle ABC. So if I asked you, how did we get from ABC to ABC prime? Notice this is A prime, C prime, and B prime, where B prime and C prime are each respectively in the exact same spots as. See, B is in the same spot as B prime, and point C is in the same spot as C prime. This is both B and B prime. This is both C and C prime, because when we reflected this triangle, reflection, we got A prime, B prime, C prime, the new triangle's location. So how did we get from here to here? We reflected across line BC. So my question is, how do we move? How do we do a basic rigid motion from triangle ABC to triangle ABC prime? How do we get from here to here? Well, we reflect triangle ABC across line BC. Line BC. Okay? That's it. This is our entire explanation. It's one step. Okay, let's check out example 2. All right, we want to know, for example 2, how do we get from triangle ABC to triangle ABC prime? And let me go ahead and draw ABC prime for you. So we see ABC prime has underwent a basic rigid motion. So you could probably guess which one it was. How do we get from ABC to ABC prime where it is now? Well, we went from ABC and we rotated it to ABC prime. Again, we went from triangle ABC to triangle ABC prime. And we got there specifically by doing 3 things. We rotated it around this point, point B, a number of degrees, and in the direction of clockwise, which is negative degrees. So, written down, that looks like this. Step 1, we're going to rotate. Triangle ABC. Around point B. Negative, that's direction, that's clockwise, D degrees, where D represents the exact number of degrees. So if we looked at it, D would be this many degrees. If we had a protractor, we could calculate the exact number of degrees that went. Well, we don't have one, so we won't worry about it. We could also say that the number of degrees it went was exactly the number of degrees it takes from C to get to C prime. So if we rotated around this point, point B, it would be the number of degrees to get from C to C prime. Okay? That's rotation. That's how we get from triangle ABC to triangle ABC prime. All right, we're going to try example 3 now. All right, so we have ABC up there. This is example 3. And somehow we got to ABC prime. So this time, we're going to be looking at 2 transformations instead of just one transformation. By transformation, I mean basic rigid motions. So again, here's ABC, triangle ABC, and we have triangle A prime, B prime, C prime right here, the purple one. It's kind of hard to see, but this is purple. And we're going to compare them. We want to see how to get from triangle ABC to ABC prime. Okay, I want to let you guys pause, see if you can use a patty paper or something to find out how can you get from triangle ABC to A prime, B prime, C prime using nothing but basic rigid motions. Okay, we'll pause right here. And welcome back. So, if you guys guessed, rotation around point B until C touches C prime, followed by a reflection across line BC prime, you would be correct. That is how we get from triangle ABC to triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. Go ahead and replay that back to see how I got from triangle ABC to triangle ABC prime. Otherwise, keep going with me. We're going to look at one more way. Okay, another way we could have done that is to reflect first. It's going to reflect triangle ABC across line BC. And then we're going to rotate around point B till we get to triangle ABC prime. Both those ways got us to triangle ABC prime. Okay, let's write those out. Step 1. Okay, I'm just going to use the first method. We're going to rotate triangle ABC. Rotate triangle ABC around point B. How many degrees? D degrees in the negative direction. So negative D degrees. You could also say instead of this, you could replace this with, so you're going to rotate triangle ABC around point B until point C touches point C prime. Okay, so both these would have been good. Okay, second step. Step number 2. Once we rotate, remember after we rotated, we're right here right now. The next step is to reflect. Reflect triangle ABC. Cross line BC prime. Reflect it. And you have your transformation using nothing but basic rigid motions. Rotation, reflection, and the other one we haven't used yet is translation. Okay, so join me as we look at one more example, example number 4. All right, so we're going to say, how do we get from triangle ABC to triangle ABC prime? Let's talk about how that works out. Why don't you guys think about it for a second, though? See if you can use at least 1 or 2 basic rigid motions. Find out how to get from triangle ABC to triangle ABC prime. All right, I'm going to give you a few seconds. Go ahead and pause right now. Think about this on your own and write it in your workbook on page 106 or in your notebook. Go. Welcome back. All right, let's go over these motions ourselves. Let's start with triangle ABC. Okay. If you looked at the previous examples, something you should notice that they all have in common. If you want to pause right now, see if you can find what they all have in common. Write down as many observations as you can see. Pause right now. Otherwise, they all have in common, example 1, 2, and 3, at least one point is touching each other. Specifically a common point. For example, in example 1, point B was touching point B prime, and C was touching C prime. We had our triangle right here, ready to be flipped onto our triangle. It was like that. Point B and B prime were touching, point C and C prime were touching. In example 2, we had something like this, where we had triangle ABC and ABC prime was so that B and B prime were touching. Point B and B prime were touching, just like this. Example 3, B and B prime were also touching, like this. B and B prime were touching. So, what do you think the first step we need to do in order to find the sequence, like all the steps, to get from ABC to ABC prime? What do they have in common? The point. How do we get them to share at least one point? Well, you might think, rotate. Let's rotate around point A. Well, we put this triangle where it is, and we rotate around point A. This is point B, this is point C. Point B never touches point B prime. Here, follow with me. Okay, we went full circle. Point B never touched B prime. Let's look at point C. C, does it ever touch? It's close, but looks like that was the only time. It almost touched it, but that was hard to see. It might not have actually touched it, especially if this triangle was all the way over here. Definitely would have touched it by rotation. And we could try it around point B as well, or we can check for point B. Point A never touches point A by rotating around point A. You could test it around rotating point B as well. See if point C will touch C prime perfectly. You can see point C and C prime pass over each other. They never come into contact. And point B never touches point B prime by rotation. Point A will get pretty close, but it won't touch A prime either. You can test it around point C too, but it's already so far from the others. If you rotate it around point C, it's never going to come close to any of the others. Okay. So rotation is out. We can't rotate to get onto one of these points, generally. Okay, how about reflection? Can we reflect to get onto any one of these points? That's a little tough. If we reflect BC, that doesn't get us anywhere. If we reflect AC on AC, that doesn't get us anywhere. And then the last one, reflect across AB. Point C is very far from C prime. This is point C, very far from C prime. Point A, nowhere near A prime. And point B, down here, is nowhere near B prime. So, reflection won't work. What's our last one? Translation. Let's translate it. Okay, let's focus on one point. Let's just look at A, B, or C. Let's just do A. Okay, I'm going to translate the whole triangle based on point A. So we're going to go left some units, and then we're going to go up some units until A and A prime are on the same point. Now we can rotate it. Now we rotate the triangle around point A until perfectly laps the other points. Okay, let's watch that with point B now. They could have done the same thing. Let's translate so that point B will overlap point B prime. Okay, so we're going to translate some units to the left and then translate some units up until point B and B prime are on the same spot, the same point. Then we're going to rotate the triangle around point B prime and B now until that the triangle perfectly matches. And we can do that with C as well. Move C, rotate, and you would get perfectly onto ABC prime. So let's write out the steps that we take to translate any shape from its original to its prime spot. So we're going to use our method. Simple, easy, general, which we're making now, and we can apply that to specific hard problems. So here's the plan. If no points are touching, step one, move a point onto its prime spot. So if you want to move A, you move A to its prime spot, A prime. If you want to move B, you're going to move B to its prime spot, B prime. And we're doing that movement using translation. Remember, translation is left to right, up or down movement. That's it. That's step one. Step two, you want to match line to line. So we moved triangle ABC to the A spot. The next step is to align BC to line BC. That can be done using a reflection or, in the most case, a rotation. So that's, you're going to rotate around a point, usually the point that you're on currently, to match line to its prime line. So if we have line BC and we want to match it to BC prime, we're going to match BC onto BC prime. So after it was here, we're going to rotate it until BC and BC prime are matched. And finally, if it's not already matched, it's going to be through reflection. So you might need to reflect before this step and then rotate, or you might need to rotate and then reflect, as we did for example 3. So look back at example 3 if you get stuck between rotating and reflecting. Okay, so another option is to reflect or reflect around line. Okay, use this method. Go ahead and solve numbers 4 and 5, and you will have plenty of good practice. All right, thank you guys for watching. I will see you all next time. Ciao.